Welcome to the solo Final Fantasy XIV challenge. This is solo only, and from the very beginning, we have clawed our way past some of the most difficult fights this game can offer, all while never using the market board, parties, or NPC support, and using level sync or silence echo whenever it's possible. Again and again, I've been told this was impossible, but no matter how hard it got, we've always prevailed. And now, standing on the other side of the impossible trial, Susano, it's time to move forward towards our final goal, Endwalker. Maybe something stops us before then, brings this whole thing crashing down, but until we see that with our own hands, we continue down this long, winding road to whatever impossible wall comes next. Our great enemy felled, the light of a new dawn poked its head over the horizon. Even through that triumph, we are just starting Stormflood, and now we face the unknown, wondering where the next wall could be. In the aftermath of our victory, we take things slow for a bit. I wanted to make a memorial piece for Susano by giving Pictomancer a weapon from Palace of the Dead, but before that, we have some leftovers to complete. A lovely chat member, I Love Blue Women, sent me on a quest to clear floors 1 to 100 as Astrologian, the objectively worst class to solo Palace of the Dead. It's slow, it barely does any damage, and it dies to basically every hit, so this would really be the pinnacle of the Palace experience. Suffering my way through, Final Fantasy XIV was getting hit by some crazy DDoS attacks. Wow, yeah, okay. So we'll put this off for another day. And more importantly was my Summoner run. Back in June of 2023, I ran through Palace as Summoner and made it all the way to floor 171. This was the final attempt at Necromancer, completing floors 1 to 100 solo without dying. I do love the title, but there's another that I feel is more fitting for solo in Heaven on High, so we'll be going after that one instead. But that didn't mean I was going to give up this chance, so we rush into the final floors of Palace. In here, every enemy was a major threat. There was not a single thing I could take on without planning it out first. I was relying on getting lucky with Pommanders of Strength and Steel to keep up my damage, racing against the clock, and kiting enemies one by one. Yeah, the no raisings is probably the worst bit. I gotta hope to get lucky with that. Up here, it's basically a requirement to have a Pomander of Raising as a solo. Just one mistake can end the run, but having a Pomander that revives you on death gives me a get-out-of-jail-free card. But I had none. Every step I took could be my last. We needed to find one as soon as possible. This is not my favorite of situations, I have to admit. Not completely in love with it. With two patrols heading towards me, we need to be fast. The first has to die quickly, all while hoping the second doesn't notice us. If both of these enter the room and I have to deal with two at once, I'm dead without question. 4 enemies down, 2 near-death encounters, and we're finally leaving the first room. Heading further and further into the depths of Palace, I was doing much better than I expected, even managing to find a Raising Pomander on floor 177. I'm gonna save that at this point, I think. This far into the floor set, it felt like a mistake to use it. After all, I still had 2 more sets to do after this. If I could start floor 181 with a Raising Pomander, I'd be set. So I hold on to it for now, and that was all it took. No, okay. Damn! Oh, I should have used the Raising. That is unfortunate. Not that terrible. My steel fell off. Oh, that did it. Okay, I didn't even realize, dude. That's just how easy it is to lose up here. One mob. I accidentally pulled the wrong enemy without a steel up and died instantly for my mistake. So, the Necromancer dream is dead, and we tuck Palace away onto a shelf, eventually returning for Astro. One day. Sidetrack done, I get back from my trip to TwitchCon and, sick as can be, make the tiniest bit of progress. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for the chat gift. You're gonna kill me with this today, please. I can barely handle talking. Hello. One quest after beating Susano, we can finally unlock access to Heaven on High. This was not only a much better source of experience than Palace, but also one of the main goals I have for the account. Before this is all over, I want to reach the top of this place and get Solo his proper title. Lonely Explorer has been around for a while, but the true title we've been waiting for is Lone Hero. A cursory run to see what things looked like, I was a bit too sick to manage anything, so I take some time to rest.
Chat, it is over. I became dead on the floor. Chat, I did my best.
How utterly unexpected. Oh. In this brief moment of rest, I've got something to mention real quick. We're in the final stretch, only a month left to hit our goal of 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And though we probably won't make it, I'm not giving up yet. So if you aren't subscribed, you can be one of the last 7,000 to push us over the line. Another day of the Astro run, we die to the floor 40 boss and finally start on the MSQ. Oh yes, my favorite starting city, Utah. Yangsha gives us the first area unlocked since the Ruby Sea, and after a quick stop to see my husband,
he comes.
The Azim step is short to follow. The euphoria of completing so many quests pushes us on until we reach the next dungeon, the first instance since Susano, Bardam's Medal. It was like breathing for the first time. A dungeon. Something meant for 4 players instead of 8. I had almost forgotten the feeling. Starting on level sync, we're stuck at level 66, but have more than enough healing with raw intuition to blast through to the first boss. We're getting chaotic alliance rates, right? I want them to add maybe like a 4-player thing, where if you mess up any of your class's buffs, like on Red Mage, if you overcap one of your mana, you just instantly drop dead. That would be hilarious. Don't mess with me, I drop a Nokian in my opener. Garula is a relatively simple fight. Dodge some AoEs and get far enough away for the Rush tether to turn purple. After Rush, Garula does a war cry, sending the nearby enemies into a frenzy. First, Earthquake stuns, then Alt Goats will dash at you with a line AoE, Sheep will explode for an AoE centered on themselves that puts you to sleep, and Coeurls shoot a cone of lightning, paralyzing anyone hit by it. After they attack, the critters disappear, with new ones taking their place shortly after. The final mechanic, Heave, is another dodgeable AoE. Barely having to worry about health, Garula goes down on the first try, and we're off to the second boss. One strategic death to the Steppe Eagle for reasons I won't go into right now, we've made it to Bardam. On entering the arena, we lose all of our actions. No attacking, no defensive ability, no healing, just me and the Hunter of Bardam. This is a weird one. It's the first fight where we've basically gotten to go through it like normal. Dodging an AoE and turning away for empty gaze, every time you fail to dodge a mechanic, you get a stack of Bardam's price. 2 stacks and you get fettered, and if the whole party is fettered, you wipe. We don't actually fight the Hunter. We just need to resolve the mechanics properly. Where normally bosses can take 10 minutes from how low our damage was, here we're just as good as a normal party. One onslaught of AoEs later, the first trial is survived. The second trial has a tower for each player in the party, donut AoE centered on you, and an AoE that chases you around the arena. Then, Heavy Strike sends out a cascading wave of stone, and a meteor falls at each cardinal direction. Another one complete, we move on to the third and final trial. A looming shadow starts dropping a massive meteor onto the arena. To survive it, you need to stand behind one of the 4 star shards. 2 of the star shards explode from warriors of Bardam landing on them. Once they land, a cross grid of AoEs appears, the Hunter pulls us to the center of the arena, and both of the warriors send out heavy strikes. Clipped by a wave of rocks, we make our way to safety behind the last remaining star shard, and Bardam is defeated. Hey, not bad at all. Amazing DPS. Yeah, that's the fastest boss I've ever done. Can you believe it? A boss that didn't take 20 minutes on its own? Squished by a passing boulder. What was that for? We reach the final boss, Yol. Feathercut, an instant tank buster, hits for 2600 damage. Wind Unbound summons feathers at the edge of the arena. Flutterfall drops an unmarked AoE on its target, and the feathers shoot line AoEs to dodge. After this happens twice, the feathers disappear, and Yol casts Wind Unbound again to resummon them, this time using Eyes of the Fierce, a gaze to turn away from. Then, Yol casts Wind Unbound again, leaving the arena and spawning a Corpse Eater Eagle in its place. While fending off the eagle, Yol will appear at an edge of the arena and dash down the center, dealing heavy damage to anyone in its path. Yol only dashes once and waits for you to defeat 2 eagles before returning to the arena. Using the same AoEs as before, after 60%, Yol flies to the center of the arena, and both of its wings become targetable. AoEs constantly circle around the center, with Wing Beat pushing you to the edge of the arena. Once both wings are broken, the phase ends, Yol is stunned for 5 seconds, and it's back to the Wind Unbounds from before. Somewhere between 15 and 10% health, Yol does the wing phase again. Do this twice? So that before, yeah, I guess so. Alright. Well, I'm glad that this is a unique solo experience and not something that's meant to happen. And falls shortly after. Hey, very nice. Bardam's Medal complete. In one try, with only a single death to some random bird in the middle of the dungeon. Real progress in a single day of work. I felt it here more than anything else. The grinds that weighed so heavily on my shoulders were finished. We were starting to move forward again. But we did run into one tiny problem. This dungeon gave us our 9th second chance point, an incredibly scarce resource. We keep making our way through the MSQ, but before reaching the next dungeon, I needed to take a quick stop for something else. Wondrous Tales. One of the most important parts of this challenge, the only way for us to get level 100 armor, now had some big changes. With Pictomancer at level 100, Wondrous Tales would stop giving us the easy A Realm Reborn trials and accessible dungeons as options, and now the book was open for anything in the game. Let's just see what's possible on this list. This I can do, no, no, and no. All 4 of these used to be guaranteed. For the first book since getting back, of the 16 possible options, 10 of them were impossible. Alliance raids for Stormblood and Heavensward, raids from Shadowbringers, a level 100 dungeon, a level 91 to 99 dungeon, the raids from Endwalker, Lakshmi Extreme, Diamond Weapon Extreme, Hades Extreme, and PvP. If I didn't have solo restrictions, I might be able to, but with Alliance raids off the list and no PvP, we have to rely on second chance points. I've said it many times before, but here is where it starts to show just how bad this is. Second chance points are a limited resource. I can only get one of them for every dungeon and trial in the game, the first time I complete it, and after that, I can never get more. Some of these trials I would be clearing for the first time, Nidhogg, Thornton, and the Final Coils specifically, but you can only hold 9 at a time, so I needed to spend 3 retries first. Retries let me complete one of the trials on the list a second time by randomly completing a different tile instead. To do this properly, I need to complete every tile I can do right now, then start doing retries after. But once I do that, we're rolling a 3 in 13 chance for it to use the Nidhogg, Thornton, or Final Coil tile instead of the impossible ones. I can also use the second chance points on a shuffle, moving the stickers to new spots on the board, but that's only worth it after I complete 7 total things. I have to get 2 lines. It isn't an option, and second chance points are the only way to do that. So I needed to make sure I was being smart with every step I took. As soon as I get that second silver certificate, I can stop caring. But until then, this was going to get messy. With 6 out of 9 tiles completable in my restrictions, this was an ideal book. Chances like this wouldn't pop up too often. Floor 40 cleared on my Astro run, and our 2 dungeons completed. All 3 of the next options will give us a second chance point. I haven't done any of the Final Coil, and we've yet to touch the Heavensward Extremes. So before we can continue, I have to use a retry. 10 of the 13 available tiles are impossible. So there's no way Wow, alright. That's very targeted. Oh, that sucks. I don't know what I've done to this cat girl, but Chloe continues her unsolicited rampage. Now we have to use an additional second chance point to complete this book. But since I already spent one, I'm committed. Another quicker run of Palace down, we take on Thornton EX. Heading in first as a Reaper, I grab some gear upgrades to get it caught up to the end of Stormblood. For Wondrous Tales tasks, I don't hold back on things. With Epic Echo up, we've got a 200% buff. Even with that, we don't have enough health to survive the Twin Paladins and fall before reaching the final phase. Pictomancer is our next bet, but we'd need to swap out our armor for the old Stormblood gear. I'd only use the Susanoo gear in an absolute worst case. A few deaths later, we've reached the final phase. From here, we need to kill Thornton as fast as possible. If we took too long, Sir Zephyrin will strike through us with Spear of the Fury for 80,000 damage. Unlike A Realm Reborn, Heavensward Extremes were no joke, so this was that worst case. With Picto's full power unlocked, Thornton falls on the next attempt. 2 more tiles done, we're back at our second chance point cap and spend a retry on the Final Coil. A 1 in 11 chance to waste our Nidhogg fight. This time, there's definitely no way The big scary Coral in Final Coils kills us way too many times, so we swap over and beat up Phoenix instead. Then, Nidhogg Extreme's ad phase is unlivable as Reaper, so Picto comes in for a visit and crushes the dragon to dust. 7 stickers on the board, it's time for shuffles. We can't shuffle after the next sticker is placed, and I'm looking for our best chance to get 2 lines. For this page, we have an 8.3% chance, way too low, so we start burning through second chance points to try for better odds. 2.9%, and reluctant to spend any more second chance points, we end on a 5.5% chance. Unlucky as ever, we've spent 4 points to make things worse. With the Final Coils cleared again, we need this sticker to land on one of these 2 squares to have a chance at 2 lines. And... So that's it. We throw out the book. I would need to spend another second chance point to finish it, and since I can't get 2 lines, that would be wasting the point. After spending 3 hours on this Wondrous Tales book, we can't even finish it. That's how precious these second chance points are. And just for you here in the future, this was basically the only viable Wondrous Tales book I've gotten since Susano. It only gets worse from here. With that done, we're down to 6 points, so we're all clear to head to our next dungeon. Another day of MSQ, we've reached Doma Castle, one of the most iconic instances in the entire game. And not just for its music, but for its difficulty. For newer players, this is the first dungeon that really tests if they've learned the game or not. Healers especially. Starting once more with level sync, we still haven't upgraded Warrior's equipment since Heavensward, so we'll really be testing the limits of what we can do. From Bardom's Metal being easily handled by raw intuition, to barely surviving long enough to kill one ad, this was already looking like a completely different beast. After 17 minutes, we forced our way through to the first boss, the Magitech Rearguard. We don't exactly have a good track record with Magitechs, but we're hopeful that it's a straightforward fight. Termit Pile is an instant tank buster dealing 3,700 damage. Garlean Fire shoots out AoE circles that progress outwards towards the edge of the arena. Exaflares for all you raiders out there. Little Magitech drones occasionally fire lasers, and rearguard mines spawn along the sides of the arena, slowly crossing over. If they run into you, they stop on the spot and explode after a short delay. After the first, Garlean Fire expands to 2 AoEs instead of 1, and that's it. The fight cycles through these mechanics until you or the boss dies. And with our gear, this time it was us to fall first. We had gotten incredibly close, 12% left. I could absolutely manage it with a few more tries, but this gave me an excuse to do something I haven't gotten the chance to do in a while. With the Azim Step and Yangsha unlocked, we can step out and start looking at options to upgrade our gear. Sure, I could run over to the hunt vendor and buy a full set of maxed equipment, but I just spent 85 days in Palace of the Dead. Let me have this, okay? Doma Castle synced us down to level 68, but after a bit of digging, the best gear we could make was only level 66, the Doman Steel set. With our new armor picked out, we're off to do some gathering. I also wanted some new accessories, so we grab a Jurite, a gathering node that only appears at certain times of the day at an inaccessible area of the steppe. To reach this, you're meant to do the Namazu questline or unlock flight in the steppe, but I am not doing those, so we channel our inner Skyrim horse instead.
I think this is definitely my way up, right?
Oh, there we go. Hold on. Wait, perfect. Perfect. Okay, that's step 1, I guess. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Now, are you the thing that I want?
The Azurite.
Yes! Oh, this was actually worth it. Let's go. Raw Azurite obtained, we head over to this dilapidated husk of a town to grab the Aetherite, so next time we can just teleport over.
Azim Step looks so good at sunrise at 7.0. Oh yes, absolutely. It is a beautiful sight.
Doman Iron Sand, Crescent Spring Water, Doman Iron Ore, Durium Sand, Girabanyan Mineral Water, Holy Basil, Persimmons, Diatomite, Calbitter, Effervescent Water, Rock Salt, Iron Ore, Silver Ore, Rainbow Tigers for Tiger Skins, Halgai for Halgai Manes, Manzasiri for Hairs, and Mammoths for Merit Hide. A quick craft of Neutron, then after grabbing my Earth Shards and gathering Waterlight Seeds for later, we craft some Worsted Yarn for Step Surge, a Grade 1 Raceway of Vitality, Persimmon Tannin for Merit Leather, Tiger Leather, Durium Nuggets, Oroshigane Ingots, and Tamahagane Ingots for Merit Leather Breaches of Fending, and a Doman Steel Tabard, Armet, Gauntlets, and Greaves. Warrior has gotten some Where the heck is it? Here we go. Some upgrade. That's kind of cool. That's a nice set. It's not bad. Go up by 1 vitality, 2 strength. It's not massive. It's not the biggest change in the world, but it's something. The main difference for this gear was the defense. With an extra 100 or so physical and magic defense, we'd have a much easier time surviving the high damage the dungeon was dealing out. Shopping around for some possible upgrades for Bill, my beloved axe, we hop back into Doma Castle to try and make some progress. Fighting our way through the first enemies without any deaths this time, we're back at the Magitech Rearguard. A long 6 minutes later, our new armor gets us the stats we need to survive, and we're moving forward. Taking on a mini-boss, the Doman Vanguard, I forgot something important. Yeah, I didn't really think about it. This is the first time that the dungeon gear is ever going to be better than my gear. This is the first time, maybe in the entire challenge up to now, that dungeon gear has been better than what we can craft. Heading back to grab the chest from the boss room, my future casting classes are really gonna enjoy this one. Vanguard down, dodging Gatling gun AoEs, we've reached the second boss, the Magitech Hexadrome. Starting things off with a Circle of Death, an easily dodgeable AoE, the Hexadrome drops a party stack on us, Launcher, dealing 10,833 damage. Now, there's a lot to talk about here, but we've got more of the fight to go through, so I'll tell you about this more later, just so you can understand the gravity of the situation. Magitech Land landmines draw lines across the arena. Stepping into them knocks you back, normally flinging you into another landmine, causing a fun little ping-pong effect for anyone that makes the mistake of touching one. Magitech Missile spawns a tower in the arena that has to be tanked. If you don't, nothing happens. Well, okay, for a normal party, if you don't tank a tower, everyone gets hit for the tower's damage. But since it's just me in here, it doesn't actually matter if I tank the tower or not. It will always do the same amount of damage to me, and it doesn't add any extra debuffs like most towers would, making this a nice chunk of time to mitigate and heal back for the next party stack. Hanging on as best we can, the first was just a tutorial. From here on, Magitech Missile spawns 2 towers, each dealing up to 3,000 damage. And then, another set of Magitech Missiles immediately after. Another party stack and Magitech Missile to finish us off if we somehow survived. The Hexadrone is once again a prime example of why we hate Magitechs. Now let's talk more about Launcher, by far the most important part of the fight. Launcher, like I said before, deals 10,833 damage. That little green star is the reason why Magitechs have been such a plague to this run. Gravity damage, or typeless damage, is the only form of damage in the game that isn't affected by damage reduction. Even with Rampart, an ability that should take off 20% of what I'm hit for, we still see a flat 10,833. And just to make it even worse, Launcher doesn't have a cast bar, meaning the boss can still auto-attack me while we're waiting to get hit, making the actual total closer to 13,000. This one, unlike the one at Balser's Wall, isn't based on max health. It's just a set number, so we've at least got a bit of a saving grace. The only way to manage this is with shielding. Shake It Off allows us to block a good chunk of damage, but with a 90-second cooldown, we wouldn't have it up for all of them. Speaking of, let me just walk you through our dance with the Hexadrome. The fight starts with a party stack, then a little bit of downtime, and the first Magitech Missile. After that, we enter a cycle. Magitech Missile, twice in a row. Some time to heal with Circle of Death, Launcher, Magitech Missiles, and Launcher again. In the span of 20 seconds, I have to tank at minimum 25,000 damage. Then it's right back to the 2 Magitech Missiles from before, and the cycle begins anew. How did I get so far that first time, man? My best run up to now was 39%, the 3rd attempt at killing this boss. Since then, I haven't been able to get it past 50. How? I asked in the heat of the moment, but I wouldn't realize the answer until much later. Try as I might, I was stuck with no way forward. After a full hour of attempts, it wasn't happening tonight. Coming back with a fresh set of eyes, I was desperately chasing after a way to recreate that first run, looking for the perfect cycles of mitigations and defensives to recreate that magical attempt, but all ended in failure. Next steps are more upgrades. We still had the accessories and a new weapon to make. And I hadn't made a new food yet. Checking down the list of available options, I was focused on better healing and higher defense, so we need tenacity. Chirashi Sushi is the best we've got, giving 4 for tenacity and 26 crit. Tiger prawns, one of the ingredients we need, requires a new kind of fishing I've never done before, spearfishing. Unfortunately, there's no way to do spearfishing without a quest reward. The only item in the game that allows it comes from this blue quest, and you can't actively do it without the item equipped. So we're treating this like weather gear for our level 1s, and allowing it. It locks too much content for us to refuse it. Spear in hand, my fishing gear is a bit outdated, so we need a quick upgrade before we can continue. Beach logs, copra sand, killing rudsuds for a rudsud mudsud horn, beach lumber, and a high steel nugget makes a mudhorn fishing rod. Now to fishing. Yangshan tiger prawns, lesser gagana for gagana eggs, lotus root, shiitake mushrooms, sticky rice, and koshu sticky rice from a merchant to make a high quality chirashi sushi. Food done, it's time to buff up Bill. Pine resin, persimmon logs, scarab beetles for rhino beetle carapace, and flutterinis for moth scales. All that's left is the ingredients for the accessories. Stiperstone and durium ore make durium ingots and azurite for an azurite bracelet, earrings, choker, and rings. Then we finish things off with tamahagana ingots, persimmon lumber, and beetle glue for a dome and steel battle axe. With a complete overhaul to our equipment, we're ready to head back in and chase after our clear. Really good run, but I don't know how the heck I'm supposed to survive that. After all of that, our best run was 51%. Hopping over to Sage to try a new way forward, we had used it once before for a Magitech enemy back in Balser's Wall. But for Balser's Wall, we were using Silence Echo, and now, level synced, Sage couldn't handle the excess damage without stronger gear. And even then, I don't know if it would make it in time, or even survive with the limited abilities I had access to at level 68. Right now, we had less health than Launcher would hit for, basically guaranteeing our death. Sage wasn't the answer. The next day, we're chasing after more armor upgrades for Warrior. If I could find something above level 66, something that would hit the maximum the dungeon allowed, maybe, just maybe, we could push it a bit further. A major surprise, the best possible food item, shakshuka, is one of the most ridiculous crafting recipes I've ever seen. Only one item from this whole thing is a Stormblood item. This is a 4-star recipe, the strongest in Stormblood, and it basically only requires items from Heavensward and A Realm Reborn. Dravanian Paprika grabbed for now, we're back to checking for other upgrades. A new axe would require a molybdenum, which we can't gather on our own, but we might be able to desynth for. Unfortunately, the only things I could find that desynth for it are weapons that are already stronger than the molybdenum war axe, so it didn't feel like there was a point. Unlocking the Masterwork armor and blacksmith books, we're now able to see the best crafts Stormblood can offer. Using desynth to get some of the higher end materials, we could technically make the Nightsteel armor, an incredibly powerful set that should get us all the stats we need. Stopping by Lenosha for tomato picking, I spent the rest of the day chasing Nightsteel. Fulfilling the orphanage's demands for shrimp for a boost of gatherer scripts, we watch as the game taunts us with the worst Wondrous Tales book yet, only 4 of these being possible. I finally get around to upgrading my gatherer gear, unlock the Master Folklore books, and run off to get everything for my armor until we realize something. I don't think we're gonna be able to get this Recipe of Vitality. I need Girabonian spring water, and it is in White Rock. That's the kind of thing that we might have to end up getting from maps, worst case. There is only one item in this entire game that desynths into a Recipe of Vitality, and it is a Nightsteel sword. With such a large recipe, it was an easy thing to miss. I had just assumed it was the Crescent spring water we got earlier, but no. There was no way for us to get Girabonian spring water. Even my last resort, relying on maps to get us the materials we needed, wouldn't help. Maps, for some reason, will drop grade 1 Recipe of Vitality, or grade 4s, and nothing in between. And trying for a smaller upgrade, Gazelle skin, wasn't possible as gazelles only spawn in higher level areas. At least we came out the other side of this with something good. Shakshuka was still craftable, and a big upgrade over our previous food. Hello, Hatsune Miku? Hatsune Miku Final Fantasy XIV real? With all my avenues for upgrades gone, there were 2 options left. Figure out how that first run made it to 39%, or give in and purchase the overwhelmingly stronger hunt gear. Footage for the next part of the video got corrupted by my lack of storage space, so you'll have to deal with lower quality for now. I apologize. Forced by chat to clean my inventory, a failed attempt at a Stormblood map, and some new decorations for Solo's house, we stumble into a single upgrade. In my exploration the other day looking for Nightsteel ingots, I had desynthed something that gave us a molybdenum ingot, which unlocks the craft for a new axe. But quick problem, I can't get Zelkova lumber. Or can I? Leave quests, a request for crafting and turning in certain specific items, have a possible reward of exactly the lumber I needed to craft my axe. It comes from the level 66 carpenter leaves at a 10% chance. After a few dozen cycles using the pine lumber leaf to swap in new rewards, we've got our target. Now I just needed a Gazellehorn fishing rod, which needs a Gazellehorn which, I see, we're facing the same problem as the Gazelle skin armor all over again. But hold on. This time it'll be different. For some strange reason, the bronze coffers in Stormblood dungeons drop materials. A massive range of them, going all the way up to Gazelle skin and horns. So all we need to do is run some dungeons a few times. Nope, no, nothing, nope. Okay, this is a bit much maybe. With no materials from any bronze coffer so far, let alone Gazelle horns, we end up trying our luck with some more leaf cycling and land on a much more reasonable request, the Doman Steel Halberd. Halberd in hand, Gazellehorn fishing rod leave in the garbage, we grab our prize and craft a high-quality molybdenum war axe. Compared to Doman Steel, this axe was overwhelmingly better for one reason. Instead of skill speed, it gave critical hit. It was here and now that I realized, had it thrown in my face what had been happening, why I couldn't recreate that perfect run, the reason I had gotten so far earlier, the reason I had almost had my clear and been free of this madness. Luck. That's it. That's all this was. luck. In that fight, I had crit multiple of my heals at incredibly important times. With all of my kit, I did not have enough healing to beat this boss level synced. I couldn't handle the 25,000 damage from the double launchers. That's why so many runs ended at 60% the first time it came up. I couldn't rely on my own skill anymore. If I wanted to make it through this, I just had to be lucky. But we can still boost our luck, even if it's just a little bit. Focusing our armor for critical hit, replacing our old weapon with an extra 100 in the substat, and replacing my tenacity food with shakshuka for that last push, we've made ourselves as lucky as we can be. Back at the Hexadrone, with a new stat total of 804, we have a 15.5% chance to crit. That would be enough. It had to be, right? Starting off with an amazing run, beating our old record, we fall at 26%. 26%? Oh, okay. All right, if I hadn't used that home gang, that would have been great. That would have done it. Yeah, no question. But the longer we went, the more that felt like a fluke. Another hour of attempts, we're back to dying at 60%. So I give in, step out, and get the eye level 340 hunt gear. Armor from the end of Stormblood. The peak of our defenses and health. Now, the Hexadrone goes down. But just like every time before this, it didn't make a difference. Swapping in some of my crafted gear, giving up defense for just a tiny bit more critical chance, I've reached my limit. There is nothing else we can do. Nothing but fight. Yes, dude! Oh my god! Oh, finally! Finally! To win that, I had to get lucky. We knew it up to now, but with the fight over, I can tell you exactly how lucky I had to be. My heart is beating out of my chest right now, dude. At my peak, I managed to get a 19.3% chance to crit. I don't have the exact health required, but assuming based off of a scrub through this fight, I needed to regain around 19,000 health just from the bonus health on critical heals. For that 8-minute long fight, I crit 0 equilibriums, 10 raw intuitions, and 12 storm's path, healing me for 19,300. The probability of me critting that many times, just barely enough to win, was 4.3%. For once, luck turned in our favor, and with 42 minutes to spare, we're headed on towards the final boss. With the third mini-boss of the dungeon down, we've reached Tenshu for our face-off with Grinawat. You get a full food buff just for you, buddy. Be a one-shot. Chainsaw places his blade down in front of him, hitting for constant damage until you walk out of it. Delay action charge is an AoE dropped on top of you. Gunsaw is a Gatling gun of 6 attacks, shooting in a straight line past his target. Thermobatic charge starts with a prey marker. Then, after a short delay, it creates a proximity AoE on the ground. The further from this you are, the less damage you take. Chainsaw AoEs will shoot out from the edge of the arena, and Thermobatic charge adds the landmines from Hexadrome. As the fight progresses, the Chainsaw AoEs take on new, fancier patterns, and Grinawat starts casting Chainsaw in awkward spots, making it difficult to get a hit in. And that is where the fight ends. No more mechanics, no dealing 11,000 unmitigatable damage, just a straightforward boss fight that we can slowly but surely heal through. Oh, you are absolutely nothing compared to the Hexagon, dude. I'm so happy. After 9 minutes, Grinawat falls. Doma Castle complete. Finally! Okay. And after yet another Magitech to add to the list, we have cleared Doma Castle, and I can head on to the rest of Stormblood. How many Magitechs is that now? 28 days, 6 hours, and 17 minutes. So just about 30 hours flat. Why are you crying? What's wrong? You know what? I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm having a great time. I don't know why everybody's so upset. I'm living my best. This is great. Why is everyone so sad? Didn't you see what I did back there? Exactly. Why are you sad? You should be pogging. What's going on? The path forward is once again opened, wandering step by step towards the next wall. This time around, it wouldn't take long for her to find us.